I'm Gary Williams. Your reviews help other people find this podcast. If you would, please leave a review on iTunes.
I just
awesome.
ghosted New York. I never went back again because the kids here, are so inspiring and so incredible. And I really feel like they are what theater is about to me. I've had a great time as a performer myself, but at some point it's very tiring.
Yeah.
Coming to you straight from Fremont, California, this is the Fremont Podcast, dedicated to telling the stories of the past and present of the people and places of the city of Fremont, one conversation at a time.
Ricky wanted me to go to the California School for the Blind and interact with their tactile map. It's got everything, and of course it does. Everything down to the divisions in the parking slots. They've even got little maple leaves for the garden. The buildings are smooth, and the grass is a rougher texture. And the pathways between the buildings are smooth like the buildings. I'm going to use my nail for the braille. This particular map can be found on Gaudette Drive, corner of Walnut Avenue and Gaudette Drive, near the bus stop that everyone uses as a doggy poop bag dump. The buildings of this campus don't go up to number 99. But this is episode 99 of the Fremont Podcast.
Now, here's your host, Ricky B.
But you go by Stokes.
Yeah, Courtney
here?
Stokes.
Okay, all right,
yeah.
Very good. So I have Courtney Stokes with me today on the podcast. She is not the founder, but your mother is the founder, and what's your role here at Starstruck?
Oh my goodness, so many things. My official title is programming director and digital marketing manager. But I'm currently directing the Little Mermaid.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and I teach a bunch of our classes, all sorts of things.
Okay.
We all do everything here.
And you have been a part of Starstruck since you were 6 years old, if I understand correctly.
Yes, that is right.
How did you get plugged in at 6 years old?
Well, it's all it's all my mom. We have videos. I'm in diapers, and I have an older sister, Kristen Stokes. Kristen's dancing on the fireplace, and my mom's holding me, going, "Kristen, sing cat." So we had no choice to do anything
You just
different.
had to do it.
I mean, we had choices, but this is all our family.
It was either that or
has
go to
ever
bed,
been.
right?
Yeah. We live, breathe musical theater. So
So your mom is the founder of Starstruck, okay?
Yep.
And not to date you or tell your age, but like how long has Starstruck been around then?
Our official founding year is 1995.
Okay.
Yeah. So we
1995.
started
Awesome.
out touring around to, we used to sing a lot at the Hub here in Fremont,
Cool.
and different old age homes, and eventually, this is where we need my mom in here. Eventually, we started performing at what was formerly Broadway West over at Five Corners.
Oh, nice.
So
Very
we
cool.
started doing sit-down shows there where the audience would come to us, but it's a very small, like 50,
It is.
60 seat theater.
Yeah, I did an interview with the Made Up Theater that's there now, and we actually did the interview on the platform, on the stage there.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
like, this
Many
is
memories.
a very small space.
Yeah, I can smell the smoke machine just thinking about that theater. So that's where we did our first couple of sit-down shows where the audience would come to us.
Okay.
But then, we outgrew the space and we had an opportunity to go up to Ohlone College, and that's really where we've been ever since.
Wow.
That was early 2000s, I want to say like 2003 or 4. We started going up to Ohlone.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Ohlone. So I did an interview with the new president of Ohlone just a couple weeks ago, and the episode just came out. But it seems like there's so many things that are connected to Ohlone that started at Ohlone or that have been involved at Ohlone. That we interviewed the Candlelighters that did the recent haunted house, and they started up at Ohlone on the property where Ohlone College is now. So it's like it's there's a connection point there, but that's cool. So
Yeah.
most of your shows or all your shows right now take place at Ohlone College.
Yeah, the majority of the shows, whenever we're performing in Fremont, which is most of the time, are at the Smith Center at Ohlone College. We've performed in both their outdoor amphitheater, which is always really fun and a lot of work, but really fun, and inside their Smith Center theater there.
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. So it hasn't always been Starstruck though. What was the name? What is there been more names or just one other name before it became Starstruck?
Yeah, just the one other name. We were originally called Kids on Broadway.
Okay.
And that was the name for the first at least 5 years, maybe 10, until we became an official nonprofit theater. And then, of course, some preschool or something somewhere already had the name, so we had to change it. But even then, my mom has always really incorporated my sister and I, because we were still so young when she had to switch the name. But I really vividly remember us all throwing out different titles, and it's always really been a collaboration from the time we were so little between my sister and I and my mom. So
that's cool.
Really fun.
That's really cool. So when you guys, you have those videos of when you were 6 years old, was the original cast like you and your sister, or did you have friends, or like how in the world did what did it start with? Like who did it start with?
Yeah, it was really me and my sister, and I'd say more so my sister's friends, still two of my sister's best friends to this day, Nicole Randolph, who's now Nicole Oder. She's a teacher here in Fremont.
Cool.
Lots
Nice.
of Fremont things.
Yeah.
And her other friend Jessica, it was them and a few other people that were more my sister's age. So I was usually the baby for a while.
Okay.
And then, but it was really, not to date my sister now, but she graduated high school in 2003.
Okay.
And so that was really the kickoff point in my sister's older high school years, where we really started doing some serious big shows. Yeah.
Gotcha. Why did your mom, besides, when you get theater in your blood, because I've talked about kind of my history growing up on previous episodes, and I was in theater. I traveled doing theater, and so I know why I would want to do something like that. But what was kind of the impulse behind your mom starting this, when you guys were kids? Like, does she have a particular history with doing theater, or was this something that I don't know, what made her want to do this?
Yeah, well, music has always been in her life as well. My grandmother sang with big jazz bands, and there was always music playing in her house. So her and her brother did the musicals in high school, and would always have their record player going with Oklahoma and Judy Garland and all of the greats. So she majored in theater at San Diego State, and really that's where she got her well-rounded view of all things theater and costumes and lights and everything, and then performed for herself for a while until she got married and had us, and took a little break while we were really little. But then, after being at home for so many years, she was like, okay, I want to do something. Yeah, so it was her way of just getting up and having fun with her kids.
Wow.
And that's why we literally just started in our garage with a couple friends that came over as we put together these musical medleys. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys started in the garage, and then you said about 4 or 5 years into it, then it became an actual, a company, a nonprofit, right? So, I think that's great too. 'Cause I think, to be able to, support the community through the arts, but to be able to do it in a way that really says, we're here for the community, and to be able to benefit them that way. But right now we're sitting in a space off of Osgood, which is in the Irvington district area. But you guys occupy multiple spaces on this office front here, right? Yeah. So what all takes place down here?
Oh my goodness, anything and everything. We are very lucky to have so many rehearsal spaces that are really ours. So in one building, we have all of our set building going on. Mark Aragon, who lives in Niles, he's been with us since his son is my age.
Okay.
So it's I'll pause for a second. We're really comprised. Everybody that works for us is really comprised of people whose kids that started in the company and their kids have since grown up and moved on, and the parents have stayed around.
Oh, wow.
Everybody here, it's such a labor of love.
That's cool.
So Mark, he's been around since the early 2000s and just started as a parent volunteer building the sets, and now he is the master carpenter. And then we have Nancy Godfrey, who has been our music director for I think 20 years now. Her daughter also was around my era, early 2000s, and she has stayed with us this whole time.
Wow.
So that's really cool. And then, so Mark's son, Jordan, and Nancy's daughter, Julianne, and I, all three of us ended up being roommates in New York City, where we were all professional actors together. So it's really like...
That's awesome.
The reach goes
That's
so
cool.
much further beyond these buildings.
That's cool.
It's lifelong connections, and they're all in my wedding and everything. It's really
awesome.
neat. Yeah.
So, let's take a quick rabbit trail. What did you do in New York City? Like, what was your experience there? Like, when did you go? How long were you there? What did you do?
Yeah, well, I got my BFA in musical theater from UC Irvine.
Okay.
And then I moved 2 weeks after graduating to the city, and because I had a showcase there, and so I got an agent, and just a lot of actor things, lots of auditioning, lots of babysitting. But
That's right.
So, got to perform at different regional theaters across the country. And my favorite thing I got to do is perform in Japan. I toured with the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra for 3 months and was lucky enough to go back a few years again later after that.
That's cool.
So that was incredible. And then kind of the last thing I did where I auditioned in New York is I got to do a brand new Stephen Schwartz music review that premiered on a cruise ship on Princess Cruises. So got to work with a whole Broadway team to create that show. But also awesome experience with Stephen Schwartz, but that's also where I met my husband, Andretti, like 5 days after being on the ship. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we did a couple ship contracts together, and then we were ready to get married. So that's what brought us back to Fremont, to the Bay Area.
Where was he from?
South Africa.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
He moved across the world for me.
That's amazing.
Lucky girl.
What a cool story.
Yeah.
What a cool story. That's fun.
We'll be right back. You can hear the rest of this conversation in just a moment.
It's that time of year again when everyone starts getting sniffles and sneezes and coughs. Well, Howler's Pharmacy is here to help. They have been in our community for decades. So whether it's a seasonal issue or whether it's something that you have to take care of regularly, Howler's Pharmacy is here to help you find exactly what you need. Check them out on the corner of Fremont and Peralta in downtown Centerville. Milk and Honey Cafe is a family-owned restaurant located at 34265 Fremont Boulevard. Right now, they are offering a mid-autumn festival family meal special for dine-in or to-go. You got to check it out. Just drop in or give them a call and ask them more about it. To find out more about the best family-friendly Taiwanese restaurant in Fremont, go to milkandhoneycafe.com or check them out on their Facebook page and Instagram. Gemby Electric exists to empower your production. If you're a business owner, you know there's nothing that you want more than to focus on what you do best so that you can grow your business. Don't let electrical problems or projects stop you from your greatest production. Call Gemby Electric and let them help you empower your production today.
And now, back to our conversation.
Yeah.
So you did that. You came back home, and now you're and you came back to this to help your mom with what she was doing.
Right as the ship contract was ending, were they doing They were doing Little Mermaid. Actually, we've done the show once before in 2016.
Okay.
And so that's when I was on the cruise ship. And so as my mom was here directing it, she's like, "Oh my gosh, Courtney's the real life Ariel. She's out in the ocean falling in love with her Prince Eric."
That's awesome.
So that was funny.
That's awesome.
My man from another world. And so then pretty shortly after that, they were doing a small production of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And one of our studios here is also like a little kind of black box theater.
Yeah.
So she needed a director for it. So she said, "Hey, your contract's wrapping up. Why don't you just come direct the show for a couple months? You and Andretti can see what it's like to live together on land. And then, you can go back to New York if you want to after."
Yeah.
Well, I never went back. I never actually even went back to pack up my own room. Like my roommates sent my stuff back for me.
No way. That's hilarious. That's
I just
awesome.
ghosted New York. I never went back again because the kids here, are so inspiring and so incredible. And I really feel like they are what theater is about to me. I've had a great time as a performer myself, but at some point it's very tiring.
Yeah.
You miss a lot of family holidays and events
Yep.
and the people that really know you and have been in your life for so long.
Yeah.
So being here at Starstruck, it's really the best of all worlds where I get to do what I love, theater. I get to pass on that passion to the next generation.
Yeah.
And I get to be with friends that are like family, my actual family, and build my own family.
That's
you
great.
know, and I don't have to take the subway every day. I get to look at beautiful California. So
That's right.
it's really, I didn't think I would ever end up back in the place where I grew up.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one wants to do that when
Yeah.
they're young. They think, oh, that would be such a failure if I was still in Fremont however many years later. But really, it's been really magical.
Yeah,
and
I was gonna.
really cool.
I wanted to ask you that. I was like, what did you prefer, or did you enjoy performing more than what you do now? And it seems like each of those opportunities had their place and their time for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love performing. It's as an actor, you have to have such a thick skin, which I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And, the months and months of auditioning, going to sometimes 3 auditions a day when you're in New York. Every day in New York is the best day of your life and could be the worst day of your life.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's both things in one day. It's so awesome and so hard.
Yeah.
So I remember actually I had spent an entire year auditioning and didn't get anything for the full year. I was so drained. And finally, on one day, I had 2 different callbacks and ended up booking both things, one of which was the Japan tour, and another thing was a production of Footloose at Kansas City Starlight. So I had just finished doing the show at Kansas City. It was just a complete 2-week contract. You rehearse for 1 week and you perform for 1 week.
Wow.
And you're done.
And then you're done.
Yeah, because it's in an amphitheater that holds like 8,000 people. So that's why you only perform for 1 week. It's really nuts.
Wow.
There were a bunch of really huge Broadway names in the show, but there was no connection. It just felt like a factory going through there. And I was so excited to finally book something, but I was like, this
is not really what I wanted.
Yeah, it was, the people were like just okay, not the warmest.
Yeah.
I went, okay. And then I made a pit stop here in Fremont to see our production of All Shook Up at Starstruck before I was going to go out to Japan. And at the end of All Shook Up, it was in the Ohlone Amphitheater. I was standing at the back and I just started sobbing.
Yeah,
and my mom said,
This is
honey, what's
home.
wrong? And I went, these kids have so much passion. They're having so much fun up there. They love this. And that was not my experience the last 2 weeks with these professional actors making this big paycheck. So I went, this is what it's about, is the real connection with the people that really know you and love you while having fun. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we can take so many good things sometimes and turn them into, I don't know, if we try to commercialize them or we try to industrialize them, I guess if you will, we turn them into something that has the elements of what is supposed to be magical about it or special about it. But then it just becomes not that,
Right.
If you have enjoyed this podcast, consider supporting it with a small gift at buymeacoffee.com/the Fremont Podcast. Thank you for your support and thanks for listening. And that can happen with anything, but I do agree with you. Some of the closest relationships I have in my life were from people that I traveled with, and it was years ago, but to this day, like the people that I traveled with, I spent years with or summers with, or even just weeks with, they're some of the closest relationships that I still have, and I do think that there is I think what you're doing, and I've not really experienced. I've never been to a Starstruck show.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I know.
You gotta change that.
I know it's horrible, right? Yeah, I've never been to a Starstruck show, but I have. But I've seen stuff. I've seen what you've done, and I've met. Like we had a couple girls who were involved in
Ellie and
this.
Buffy, right?
Yeah. We had them on the podcast, so I was able to meet them and hear them talk about Starstruck. But I think that the environment and the culture that is created in a place like this, doing what you're doing, engaging with one another, really just kind of living those moments together in a special way. They form bonds that are just really, really untouchable, you know,
and really last a lifetime.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah. And so I do think that I think it's a special place. And when you turn that into let's just, you know, dump you into a place for a week, give it all you got. And then it's just like, you just don't feel that.
Right.
You know? So that's great.
So that's really what we're not about. We really want to, you know, just love being here. And I think a lot of times now, you know, the kids are up against so much at school and whatever scores on tests and to get into the best college. And it's so much pressure that these kids are facing. And sometimes we do feel that here, where parents often more so than the kids will say, well, they took 3 classes, so how come they're not the lead now? And I'm like, it's not about that. It's a team sport. I know everyone wants to be the big leading role, but it really, really is a team sport. And if you can sit back and relax and love your ensemble role, and then the next show you're a lead, and then the next show you're back in the ensemble, if you can love it all, that's the type of person that should be here with us, that wants to do it.
Yeah. The conversation that I had with Ellie and Buffy, they were talking about how they first met because they were going for the same role, and I can't remember who ended up getting the role each time, and they were like, "Come on, I want that role," you know. They became friends over that, you know, and then when the other one finally got a lead role, you know, the other one supported her, you know, so it was great. That's great.
Cheer on your friends. Our callbacks for Matilda were the cutest things I've ever seen. I think it was 5 little girls that were all called back from Matilda, and they were here all day with all the different characters. But those girls, oh my gosh, by the end, I think the beginning of the day, I don't know if any of them knew each other, but by the end of the day, they were all standing arm in arm. Every time one girl went up, they'd all scream and cheer for her. It was cool. So magical and so awesome. Sweet. So that's what we love. That's right. That's what we want to do.
That's great. That's great. So, you know, where did you go to high school here?
I went to Mission San Jose High School.
Okay, Mission San Jose. And did they have a theater program there when you were there?
They did at the time. I think sadly they don't have one anymore.
Well, yeah.
Hi, class of 96 here. I'm sorry, what?
Were you involved in the theater program when you were there?
I did their shows, and I was also really involved in their choir with Mrs. Glover.
Aww.
Yeah. Love her.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So, how did that experience compare to like what Starstruck offers? Like, what's the difference? I mean, obviously you're doing work with students that you are in classes with, or at least you see every day. But then there are people that are really like, this is something they really want here too. I mean, was there a relatable experience, or was it kind of different, or how did that? I mean, obviously your mom started this too, so that was a little bit different.
Well, and funny enough, our sweet theater teacher, Ann Riley, maybe she'll listen to this, she, you know, had a health problem happen my sophomore year. So guess who took her spot to finich out the year and then the year or two after?
Wow.
My mom, Lori Stokes.
Wow, that's funny. So you couldn't get away from it.
No. Good thing. People are like, how do you spend so much time with your mom? I'm like, no, we actually really like each other.
Okay, yeah. Was your mom hard on you? Like, I know that sometimes when you have like a parent who's like I coached my son's football team, and you know, I was exceptionally hard on him compared to the rest of the kids, because I didn't want there to be a sense of favoritism. Right. But I also wanted him to realize that he can't get away with things because he's my son. You know?
Yeah.
So
definitely. She really always did her best to not show favoritism to me and my sister. Always during callbacks, whenever she would come home, she was tight-lipped. She wouldn't share any secret info with me. And, you know, I would hear it through the grapevine from other people. Like, well, she just got this because she's the daughter, blah, blah, blah. So, in fact, she says that she used to... It would be against me to be her daughter. What am I trying to say? She would... A lot of times I would end up getting the smallest role possible. Yeah. If there was anybody else that could do the role besides me, it would go to that other person. Was kind of how her brain always worked. But also she was so busy directing the show, and she gives so much stuff to look at. It's me and my sister. She's like, you guys are on your own. Go do your own makeup. You know, like, I don't have time to baby you and coddle you and whatever. So
that's cool. That's cool. Billy Roy's Burgers in Centerville is a great place to enjoy family, food, and great service. You can find them off the corner of Thornton Avenue and Fremont Boulevard in Centerville. If you are looking to buy or sell your home,
Look no further than Petrocelli Homes. You can find out more about them at petrocellihomes.com or pay Jennifer a visit in downtown Niles.
You're directing Little Mermaid. So you came back for Little Mermaid from the cruise ship, and now you're directing Little Mermaid.
Well, kind
Full
of.
circle?
Yeah, full circle.
Yeah.
This is the first time in the company's almost 30-year history that my mom is not directing one of our main stage shows. So this is a really big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a big task that I am put up with, but it's been really fun. And of course, I've had a lot of support from Lori, my mom, and she is popping into rehearsals, and she's still around. She's not retired. We would like to make that clear. She's not retired. But yeah, she had the opportunity to go on a awesome vacation for a month with my dad,
oh, nice.
Who has been retired for a long time, waiting very patiently. So she got to go do her awesome vacation, and this was kind of my first time of seeing, like, okay, can I do this big show after I've directed a bunch of the classes and camps and things, and I've co-directed with her on the past several main stages. But yeah, so this is the first time.
What are the challenges that you've discovered between performing and then now directing? Like, what are the, I mean, obviously there's a shift and there's a different, like, a different posture, I guess, if you will, or a different presence that you have in that. So what are the challenges that you found now being a director versus just getting up there and performing?
Yeah, I think that one of the most interesting things as a performer becoming a director is, how do you put into words something that you may naturally already do? So trying to explain to the kids how to phrase something in a song might be something that I already do. So I go, okay, so I stretch this word, I put on this consonant, what words am I emphasizing? So how to really break that down so that someone else can also replicate it or do it, and also make it their own. It's hard. You have to hold yourself back to not just go, say the line like this. You know?
That's right.
You really want them to cultivate their own ideas of the characters and stuff. So
when you marinate it, it was kind of a part of who you are. There is a whole different process of breaking that, you know, what becomes intuitive to you down to like, you need to process it step by step this way. And, I found that I have a good friend that I traveled with for many years, and she was just so good at, I mean, it just all came naturally, but she knew how to break it down into a really, really like accessible way without actually, you know, spoon feeding you, say it like this, you know?
Right.
So, and I admire somebody who can do that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think something that has helped me with it is from teaching the classes for so many years now. I've been back since 2017. So, really, I taught like a little class that I called Kids on Broadway, which named after our original title. It was a class for 5 to 7 year olds, which usually we don't go that young, but for this class we do. But it was really teaching our youngest kids, the 5 to 7 year olds, the basics of theater that have been the building blocks for my foundation as a director now, because even the high schoolers that have been doing this for years, sometimes they still don't know upstage from downstage, which way to what words mean what. So I go, okay, everybody, let's go back to our Kids on Broadway level stuff.
Awesome.
So I do think my approach as a director to this show is, I want a fantastic show, of course, but I love teaching while directing. Yeah. So I want it to be a learning experience for the kids, in addition to having a great production at the end of it all.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. So Little Mermaid is going to be coming out in January, is that right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, it is going to be a full, spectacular, amazing Broadway-style Disney musical. We open January 12th at the Smith Center for Performing Arts at Ohlone College, and we run Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays until January 28th. We have a full live orchestra,
Wow. That's
which
cool.
is really becoming more and more rare these days.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
So
yeah.
we're really lucky for our orchestra led by Nancy Godfrey. We also have ZFX Flying coming in.
Wow.
So to create some of the swimming effects, like for almost all of Part of Your World, Ariel is actually flying while singing the song. It's
That's
also
cool.
really cool in the rescue when Eric falls off the boat, then it's like he's floating through water with
Nice.
Ariel saving him. And then, of course, Scuttle, who actually flies in the air.
Right. Wow, that's cool.
So lots
Wow.
of really cool technical elements
Yeah.
to be seen. Incredible costumes by Diane Sherboff. So yeah, it's gonna be really awesome for all ages to see.
Yeah, I've seen some of the photos that you guys have done and posted on social media. They look great. Costumes look great. Characters look amazing.
Thanks.
So I imagine I can't wait to see what you guys can do once they're on the stage. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be
What's your
fun.
favorite part of the show so far? Like, do you have a part that, or maybe I shouldn't say that because then
I know everyone's gonna be waiting for
everyone's
it.
gonna be like, yeah.
I do think we have. I mean, the whole thing of Little Mermaid is everybody loves her voice, right?
Yeah, right.
So we have some incredible voices in this show.
Nice.
Our Ariel is incredible.
Yeah.
Eric, Sebastian, Ursula, the whole crew.
That's great.
Really a lot of talent up on
Yeah.
that stage, and also great choreography and amazing dancing. So it's, triple threats, all of them, really.
That's great.
So
That's great.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So when you guys do shows, how many shows total is that? That's probably what about?
I believe there are 9. Yeah. We have 9 performances, and we have 2 student matinees actually as well. So
Okay.
a lot of the elementary schools from the area come up. We have 2 different Thursdays where it's just all 3rd to 5th graders, I think,
Okay.
having a blast.
Yeah. And you probably sell out, right?
I think anything Disney, everybody loves to come see. So I would definitely suggest, if you're listening, get your tickets now. It's the theater holds about 400 people.
Okay.
So I hope we're sold out the whole time. It's going to be a really fun way to kick off the new year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now I know your mom's not retired yet, so I don't want to speak as though she's not a part of this. But I'm assuming, is this a role that you're going to continue to operate in? Like you're going to start taking the baton and going on from here, or is this like a one time thing for you?
It's everybody's favorite question. We'll see. Oh, there she is right now walking by. Yes, we...
Should I ask her?
We will see. Lori, come in. Where'd she go? I can text her. We're waiting this thing.
She's trying to avoid us.
That is $1 million question. We will see. I love directing. I love being here. So as long as I am able to,
Yeah.
I would love to stay
That's cool.
around. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
What
it's been
what is the like, as you maybe have collaborated with your mom or dreamed of what could become,
Mm-hmm.
like what are some of the things that you are excited about seeing develop down the road?
Yeah, I have so many big ideas. It's a matter of, do we have the staff to do it? We are like the little engine that could.
Right.
And my mom always likes to describe us as kind of like a mom and pop shop
Right.
theater.
Yeah.
Where I think we could dream really big and have more shows happening every year and more camps and classes and things. But we really try to focus on quality over quantity.
That's
so
great. I'm a huge fan of that.
yeah. Right now we have our 2 big main stage shows a year, and I think they're fantastic. So I love it. If we can keep doing what we've been doing, it's taken a while to build back up after COVID.
Right,
Everything had to go
right.
online and cancel,
Yeah.
and we all know that story.
Yeah.
So if we can continue to do the quality that we've been doing since 1995 or whatever, I think that would be awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we can keep instilling in people to be good people and
That's right.
love each other and support
That's
each
right.
other, I think that's really
Yeah.
always going to be our number one goal. I think if we start turning people over too fast, people only come through because they want one part one time and then they're gone. They're not going to really know our value and our morals, I guess. So,
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well,
Here
there she is.
the one and
Hello.
only Lori Stokes, ladies and
She
gentlemen.
just came into the room.
Here she
Woohoo.
is.
You want to have a seat for a moment?
Yeah, here, sit here. How are you?
I am well.
Ricky.
Hi. I should properly introduce myself. I'm Ricky. It's good to meet you. Yeah.
I just took a bite of pizza. Oh, I guess they don't need me. And I went, oh shoot. Pizza.
Well, because he kept asking about, our origins and where we used to perform and things, and some of the stuff I'm like, you just needed the garage. I was too young.
Oh my gosh. Well, everybody thinks it was the garage. They always think I'm, what's the Apple people? The Wozniak and right. I started in the garage.
Yeah, I started in the garage. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was actually my living room. So.
Okay.
We did have to rehearse one time in our garage. That's true.
Well, garages are useful for that. They're good for
definitely.
that, Hi. It's good to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, this is amazing. I enjoyed talking with your daughter, and I was asking her what was behind what incentivized you to start Starstruck, and she was just saying you did your degree in theater, right, at San Diego State.
Yep.
Yeah. What was your history? Maybe what brought you to college? What made you want to do this yourself?
Well, it all started with my mother. No, honestly, my mom used to sing professionally with big bands, and her mom played the piano by ear.
Wow.
And so we always had singing in our house growing up. There was always music, and my dad would sing, and so the whole family was always involved, in some kind of music.
Yeah.
But then for me, it really wasn't until, because they didn't have children's theater, youth theater when I was growing up, because I'm very, very old. No. And anyway, and so when I got into high school, that's when I was like, ooh, what's this musical? Because I was always in the choirs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so I started being in the musicals, and then I was hooked. And then I went, that's cool. It. I'm going to go get my degree in it. And I kept telling my dad, yeah, I'm going to be a teacher. Yeah, that's what I can do with my degree. But little did he know, I didn't have my teaching credentials, so that wasn't going to work out. Anyway, but awesome. So I went to San Diego State, and
That's awesome. Very cool. Mm-hmm. Did you when you came back from college, did you go right into doing something with theater again, or did you teach, or what did you do after?
Actually, right after college, I did this really awesome thing. It was called singing telegrams.
Okay.
Singing and tap dancing telegrams. I lived in LA for a while.
Okay.
Anyway, but I eventually did move back up to Northern California, and I had to get a regular job. You know? So I just worked in the day, and then I would do local theater in the Bay Area at night. Okay. And I did that for probably 4 or 5 years, and then I met my husband, and then I kind of stopped doing it for about 10 years.
Okay.
I didn't do anything. And then when I had my 3 kids, and then when they were like 3, 6, and 9, my youngest son was 3, and I thought, okay, maybe I can just start up again and go be in a show. And so
that's
did you
awesome.
Tell him that part? Did you tell him about
working?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
That goes back to a living.
That's very long time ago.
Yeah.
But I did audition for a show and got in it, and then they needed a couple kids in the show, so then I got Courtney and her sister Kristen, who were 6 and 9, to be in it too. So we ended up all being in the show.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
They used to have the theater up at Ohlone College.
Yeah.
But at some point, they tore it all down, and they built a new theater, which is now the Smith Center, which is the indoor theater, Jackson Theater, where we're going to do Little Mermaid. Okay. That holds 400 people. And then they have the outdoor amphitheater, which holds about 600 people. And then they have a small little black box theater that can hold 100. Anyway, so the Jackson Theater, it was the very first show they did. In 1995. Okay. I'm pretty sure. And anyway, I was in it, and Kristen and Courtney were in it.
Wow.
So yeah. I ever did was in the
Oh,
Right.
that's awesome.
So
wow.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Did you grow up here in Fremont?
No, actually, Castro Valley.
Okay. Well, still
Yeah.
close. It's pretty close still.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very
Right.
cool. So what when you started this with your girls, did you imagine it becoming what it is now? Like what were the, like how did this go from just being like, I mean, from the living room to doing things for people around town
I
to
know.
like I mean, she told me about like when it went to being a nonprofit, an official nonprofit, and changing names to Starstruck and everything.
Right.
But like how did that evolve for you?
Well, it was, it took a few years because, I did have 3 kids and my husband, he traveled and stuff. And so I started out kind of slow.
Okay.
And we spent, after 2 years of just doing small little things, I decided I did want to do a musical. And I rented Broadway West, which is on the corner of 5 Corners.
Yep.
And it's a very small theater, holds about 80 people.
Yep.
And I actually stayed there for 7 years and
Wow.
did shows
Okay.
there. So every time I would do a show, it would automatically sell out because it's such a
It's such a small theater. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, wow, I'm doing great. I can sell out every show. And after about 7 years, I got a call from one of the guys that work up at Ohlone, and they said that they were going to do a Nutcracker from a visiting dance company,
Okay.
and they had canceled. And if I wanted, there was a space opening, and I was just about to finish a show I was doing at Broadway West. And so I asked the parents, I was like, oh my gosh, we have a chance to go up to Ohlone College. Would you guys be in for it? Should we do it? Whatever. And they're all like, yeah, let's do it. So we didn't close the show. We took it up to Ohlone.
Wow.
And I did only one performance because it was 400 seats. So we did one public performance and I did one school performance where we started this whole theater for the schools thing. And I got all the schools that my kids went to come see it.
Wow.
And after that show, it was all over, and I went out to the lobby, and I saw a friend of mine, a parent whose kid was in the show, and I'm like, I have tasted the forbidden fruit. I cannot go back. And that was it. And I pretty much stayed there. I did a little bit more at Mission High School, a few shows, but that was it. And that was a really big jump.
Wow.
For us. And then from then, now I've been up there, it's been 20 years.
Wow.
And things have just gotten bigger and more and more. And we even were a little bit small when we first started at Ohlone because our orchestras were smaller and the scenery wasn't quite as elaborate and all that. And everything has just gotten more and more and more and bigger.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyway,
can
28 years.
I know it's been a long time. Congratulations, by the way. It's just amazing. I admire so many people who live in this area in the tech world where they do something that's not tech and they really have success at doing it. And I think that's just so admirable. So congratulations on that. I know that it's probably going to be hard to pinpoint it down. Can you look back at all the time that you put into this and think of like one thing that you're just like, this was like one of the biggest highlights of my experience.
Now you're going to make me cry now. Don't make me. Oh my gosh. There's so many people ask me, oh, what's your favorite show that you've ever done? And it's so hard to answer because I have so many favorites. All the shows mean something special to me.
That's
you know?
right. Yeah. Should I have asked who's your favorite child instead?
Yes,
would that have been easier?
All 3 of my kids ended up being in the shows. And and Connor, I was
going to say, I thought there was only 2 of you until she got here, and now there's 3.
Connor, the little kid who was 3 years old, he ended up doing more things with me at Ohlone College. And more people knew about him because when the girls were by the time I got to Ohlone, they only had like 1 or 2 more shows left in them, and they aged out, you know. And then Connor came along, and everybody knows Connor. And they were like, "Oh, I didn't know you had 2 other daughters."
That's so funny.
Anyway, honestly, oh my gosh, I can't even think of something that, because there's so many awesome memories of all the shows.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask another question that may make you think. So I know that we kind of broached the topic about she's directing her first big show.
Yep.
First show that you're not directly or the main director for.
Right.
So this is a big shift. You're not retired officially.
Right. Yeah.
But that's probably somewhere down the road, maybe at some point in time. What's the biggest thing you're going to miss once things start shifting?
Honestly, I'm already missing it. It's being with all the kids in the rehearsal room. Yeah.
Kleenex.
Definitely. That's the whole reason why I've lasted, because when all of my kids stopped doing theater, because they were all older and going to college and everything else, I always thought, okay, I'll just do it till this point. And then it was Connor was the last one, and I went, okay, when he's goes off to college, and then it's time. Nope. You're still here. And every time I'm like, why would I want to do that? Now I have the time to do it.
Yeah.
I just have so much fun.
When the 3 kids have gone on through, you realize you have hundreds of kids, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's how
great.
we all feel here. They're all our kids. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
We're
super proud of all of them. And I've had so much help too. It's not just...
It's not just all you doing all the work.
It's not just me. It's like Nancy Godfrey, our music director, has been with me for at least 20 years. Mark Aragon, our set builder, has been with me for that long. Anthony has been our stage manager for close to maybe 15 years. Okay. 13, 15 years. I mean, I've had a lot of people that have stayed around, even when, like Nancy and Mark, for instance, their kids did it and they left, and then they're still here too. So it kind of has a way of, it's very infectious, and the kids are just like give you so much energy. And
I think I first reached out to you guys about doing an interview with you a while ago, like I don't know, maybe a year ago, and it's no problem. I was reaching out to a lot of the public companies or faces in the community, and I just kept seeing Starstruck pop up. But recently, I've had so many people just say, "You need to interview Starstruck. You need to interview." So I can tell that it's loved in the community. I can tell that there are people here who just really feel that what you've done and who you are has become like a pillar in the community in a huge way. So I think that's a tribute to you as well for the work that you've done. And that's great.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out and doing this for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully get a chance to see The Little Mermaid in January, and whatever else you have down the road. I think it'll be fun to see what you have ahead. So that's great.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This episode was hosted and produced by Ricky B. Scheduling and pre-interviews by Sarah S. Rachel Prey is the print editor in charge of our newsletter. I'm Gary Williams. Andrew Cavett is the editor. Music provided by Soundstripe.com. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you listen so you don't miss an episode. You can find everything we make, the podcast, our newsletter, and all of our social media links at thefremontpodcast.com. Join us next week on The Fremont Podcast.
Yeah, I actually have this is very likely going to be edited out, but I have this story where I was in France, and I was there helping with a camp, and I was on my way back, and the flight got delayed in Paris, and so I had met this girl in the airport that was she was crying, and she was on the same flight. I think it was her boyfriend's birthday or something like that, and she was going to miss it because our flight was going to be delayed and all this stuff was going to happen. Anyway, it ended up like it ended up sparking this conversation with me and a bunch of other young adults. And so we all became like, we just hung out there and talked for a while. And then we ended up leaving like 5 hours later. We had a layover in Iceland. Oh, wow. And this was before Iceland was a cool place to go. So this was, you know, I don't know what, probably 15 years ago. And we ended up getting stuck in Iceland because the connecting flights missed. And so we ended up getting put in a hotel, and we were there for an extra 24 hours. And we were just all like, let's rent a taxi bus and go explore Iceland for a little while.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, fast forward, we had this whole experience together as a small group. We all became quick friends, and then we all went to our separate places. Well, she lived in New York City, and she was also a performer, and she was a bartender in New York City, and I was living in Baltimore at the time. So anyway, I ended up going to New York, and I was like, I'm gonna catch up with her, you know, whatever. So we ended up, I ended up going to the bar where she was serving, and I was like, is Emily here? And they're like, who are you? And I was like, well, I'm a friend. We met. And they're like, yeah, we'll go let her know you're here. What's your name? I said, my name is Ricky. Okay. And so I'm standing there waiting. They're like, how did you guys meet? I was like, well, we met in Paris, and then we went, I forget exactly how I said it, but I was like, we met in Paris. We ended up in Iceland. We spent a day traveling around. We went to the Blue Lagoon, and then as I'm saying this, they're like, "Oh my goodness, that's so romantic." I was like, "No, I'm married. Like I mean, we met as friends, and this." I was like, I said we had a flight that got canceled, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was really funny, but it was just like, "Oh, that's so romantic." I was like, "No, that's not how it happened." It was just like all this.
This is a Muggins Media podcast.